Hello, everybody. Welcome and happy new year to you. Although I don't think we push the hey, you got to seek happiness at every second thing a little too much. I think there should be other things you're living for, such as passion or creativity or creating a better world or helping everyone else who's not you. Those kind of non-greedy things. So really, those should be the greetings on like a New Year's rather than just like get happy. Get happy now. Are you happy now? That that should be America's new motto as we collapse this shit empire, this shit pyre, it is a shitty pyre as well, because it's burning down. But as we collapse this this empire, I think the new motto should be: Are you happy now? Either that or are you not entertained? One or the other. Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? All right. That being said, we're going to get to a lot of important stories on today's show. I hope you're having a passion-filled and creative and radical new year. How about that? But let's start with China just showing how not cool the United States is. The largest drone show ever created. This is I know those of you listening to the podcast can't see it, but this took almost 12,000 drones controlled by AI and basically was this in Beijing? What city was it? But basically turned the night sky into a giant show, but far beyond a fireworks show. The visuals are just anybody listening to the podcast, you can Google this and easily find it. China's world record drone show. Totally amazing, and also just shows how advanced China is becoming, while the United States, I think we set off 3 sparklers, or maybe it was we might have 4 sparklers. I think there were 4 sparklers set off at the Capitol building. So that's kind of to compare what we're doing versus what China's doing. Our fireworks on New Year's Eve are nowadays are it's ICE firing flashbang grenades as they kidnap children. That's our fire. That's our new kind of fireworks we got going here in the United States. And so China compete with that, huh? But it is breathtaking. Now, of course, you could be one of these people that kind of views the dystopian side of this, which is, could you imagine if these 12,000 drones were all AI programmed to chase you? You could come up with a very scary version of what 12,000 tightly coordinated drones could do. if they were not in your control. But anyway, I suppose that's true with all technology. So I don't want to just say this is horrifying, because really all technology is horrifying. If you think about it, if you really get down to it, if it were used for evil instead of good, it can all be horrifying, but it can all be positive. It depends on how you use it, right? It's a tool. 12,000 drones doing exactly what you want them to do is a tool. Do you want them to go spy on all your enemies, or do you want them to bring food to people who need food? That's the question. That's the question you got to ask yourself. Do you want them all to follow around somebody you find attractive and hopefully get video of them in the shower? By the way, I didn't say male or female, so don't give me any of that anti-woman stuff. Or do you want them to search out someone who needs a house? And then all the drones come together as building blocks of a house. So it's a house built out of drones that all like latched onto each other, and you can just seek out and become a house around the person. Still, okay, kind of sounds horrifying, but I meant for it to be a good thing. All right, but let's get to some of the more important stories. You can catch this one on your mainstream media, but I still think I should cover that U.S. healthcare system, one of the worst in the industrialized world, costs are shooting up 114% for millions of Americans because the subsidies on this shit system are expiring because Trump and the Republicans, and the Democrats are garbage for other reasons, but this happens to be mainly the Republicans, are making sure to stop these subsidies so that Americans who are in the Obamacare marketplace will pay a crazy amount more. And this does not mean those who are not in the Obamacare marketplace have it good. You could very well not be in the Obamacare marketplace and be paying crazy amounts of money for your healthcare insurance. That is the case for many other millions of Americans. But this is about how prices are shooting up today for 20 million Americans. And let's not forget the part of this story that is not often said in mainstream media, even though it should every time you mention this. It should be healthcare should be free. Let's start there. That's where the debate begins. Healthcare in an industrialized country should be free. That's the first step, first discussion point of any of these stories. Instead, you get stories even from rather progressive outlets where they fail to mention that healthcare should be free. They fail to mention that in so many other countries, including China, which I just mentioned, you could break your arm. You could not even be from China. You break your arm, you walk into the hospital, you see a doctor within half an hour, they fix your arm or give you a cast, whatever modern medicine will allow them to do. It's true. China also this year just patented a bone glue, which allows them to glue your bone back together rather than having staples that are all just shot in there with a fucking nail gun like we're goddamn troglodytes. But they invented and patented bone glue, but I would imagine it's not available at every doctor in China already. Anyway, you could go in there, have your arm put in a cast and treated and x-rays and all that shit. And even if you're not Chinese, like $4 or something, maybe. And if you are Chinese, probably $0. But instead, we here in the United States pay a crazy amount of money. Many people are paying 20% of their monthly income on health insurance, which, again, just because you pay that much, just because you pay $1,000 a month for your health insurance, does not mean it's going to cover all the things. 50% of everybody who gets cancer, and now it's like 1 in 3 people in America get cancer, 50% will lose their entire life savings in the first 3 years of having cancer. That's whether they have insurance or not. So insurance does not guarantee you're covered for all these things. In fact, the entire insurance game is to try to make sure they cover you as little as possible. And they have a million tricks to do it. Anyway, I'm getting way off on a tangent here, but and by the way, this article I'm reading from is from France 24. I think the French media are covering this just to be like, can you believe these idiots? They're still paying crazy amounts of money for their health care. Enhanced tax credits that have helped reduce the cost of health insurance for the vast majority of Affordable Care Act, Obamacare enrollees expired overnight, cementing a higher health cost for millions of people in the United States at the start of the year. The change affects a diverse cross-section of the population who don't get their health insurance from an employer and don't qualify for Medicaid or Medicare, a group that includes many self-employed workers. Those aren't important at all. Small business owners, farmers, and ranchers. None of the things that are important to the United States, right? Or to having a successful society, just self-employed folks, small business owners, and farmers and ranchers. Who could care about those? On average, the more than 20 million subsidized enrollees in Obamacare are seeing their premium costs rise by 114% this year. That's not even it's not like they're rising 20%, 114%. All right, so there's my Jesus Christ, can you still believe we're screwing everyone with healthcare rant. I don't often talk about this aspect of it. I mentioned it a few times. I think that healthcare in the United States is, for the ruling elite, is kind of viewed as this great suck of wealth from those who are not super wealthy. So part of the thing in the United States is the super wealthy do not want to make it so that everybody can join their classes. If you're super wealthy, even $10,000 healthcare bill is not a big deal, right? If you're uber wealthy. So for them, healthcare it's not a big deal to them at all. It's pennies. But even for middle class people, healthcare is a giant suck, a giant wealth suck, and a great equalizer. And if 1 in 3 people are getting cancer and it obliterates their life savings, guess what that does? That keeps everyone below a certain level of wealth, which is great for the super wealthy. Perfect. Also, as discussed before, the U.S. wealthcare system, well, I guess that's what it is. It cares for the wealthy. Okay, I just coined wealth care. What we have in America is not healthcare. It is wealth care. The American healthcare system is also a white supremacist system. And I don't mean it's become a white supremacist system. I mean, if you look up the origins of why we don't have universal healthcare, white supremacy. Isn't that insane? Mind-blowing? I did a government secrets on it. So if you love and enjoy my podcast, Government Secrets, then you would have seen or heard rather that episode on the origins of the U.S. healthcare system or lack of healthcare system. Actually goes back to white supremacy and eugenics. And what was his name? Ludwig Hoffman, maybe. I know Ludwig was in there somewhere. But he was Ludwig. He was a white supremacist, and he was the voice of making sure, like he was the vice president of Prudential, one of the largest health insurance at the time. I think the largest health insurance. No, not health insurance. Largest insurance companies in the company at the time. I don't know that health insurance existed, but so vice president of Prudential, and he then was the main push and the main data behind making sure that the United States did not get universal health care, because his thought was that it would help make sure people of color die out. So that is where, much like the U.S. police system, one of the largest policing systems in the world, largest prison state in the world, also origins in slave patrols. God, don't you love how important racism was to the origins of America? You know, for all you haters of racism out there, you don't talk about how important racism was in the origins of America. You just poo-poo racism. Like it's nothing. Like it hasn't given us anything. It's given us everything. Our brutal policing system, our horrific healthcare system. There's so many wonderful things that this country has that stem from racism, and yet you act like it hasn't given us anything. It's crazy what you're doing. Okay, moving on, although I should have led with this. First of all, thank you guys so much for making it. We did it. We made it possible for Unredacted Tonight to continue for at least another 6 months. And, you know, when that 6 months comes, maybe I'll do another fundraiser to try and keep it going again or something like that. But point is, thank you so much for all of you who joined up. I really am thrilled that so many of you became 2 coffee a month members at Substack, reallycamp.substack.com, or you donated on Patreon or at Locals, wherever it was, you supported the show, and you literally made it possible for me to keep doing Unredacted Tonight for another 6 months. So the next episode, we'll be taping the new episode soon, and it will come out this coming Thursday, so almost a week from today, less than a week from today. So thank you so much. Unredacted Tonight will continue. My other work will continue. I'll keep putting up columns on Substack. For those of you who are not paid or free members at Substack, I hope you'll still do that. Reallycamp.substack.com. You know what? As long as we're talking about it, let me show you something cool I think I can show you. I'm apparently failing to right now. Okay, here it is. This is the rankings of world politics writers, bestsellers in world politics writers. The rising list. And right now I'm number 7 on it, which is pretty incredible. And you guys got me as high as number 3 a few days ago on rising world politics writers for all of Substack, which is pretty fucking incredible. Thank you guys for doing that and for making this possible and for making it possible for me to keep this show going. And I hope, even if you can't become a paying member, I hope you go and subscribe for free at reallycamp.substack.com. Other thing I should have led with is I am sorry Eleanor Goldfield is again not here today. She will be back, I believe, a week from today. So have no fear. I have not locked her in a basement or something. She's in the basement by her own free will. It was her own decision to lock herself in the basement. All right, let's keep going here. Another good news story, which again you can get from mainstream media, but still important to cover. Trump is withdrawing the National Guard from the cities where he sent them: Chicago, Los Angeles, Portland. I mean, it was always a kind of bullshit. It was really more about the theater than anything else. But that doesn't mean they didn't harm people's lives. That doesn't mean they didn't help with brutally arresting people or defending ICE as they brutally arrested people. So I'm not acting like they did nothing, but there really was nothing for them that they should have been doing. There were, they had to manifest, not even manifest. They had to they had to pretend that riots were happening in Portland, Oregon. I did a segment from the ProPublica article about how there were no riots in Portland, Oregon. There was literally like 12 people outside an ICE detention center dressed like, mascots, dancing around saying that ICE should be abolished. And they had to pretend that was a riot in order to facilitate or give justification for sending the National Guard there. The riots never existed, so the National Guard had nothing to do. The National Guard came to Washington, D.C., right near where I am, here in Baltimore, and they also had nothing to do. I also covered how they were doing things like putting mulch down and, cleaning up litter around the National Mall because they had no reason to be there. So it was all just amount of theater to show Trump's power. It's intended to keep us scared. It's intended to, he's very good. I'd say maybe one of the best ever at giving you kind of false scarecrows to fight at. It's really Don Quixote tilting at windmills. He wants you tilting, sometimes literally windmills, like Trump hates windmills. So he wants you literally tilting at windmills, but tilting to pointing your lance, your spear, your bows and arrows at targets that don't matter much to him. He'd rather you go and fight the National Guard than actually stop ICE, than actually call him out on his crazy corruption or his connections to the Epstein PDF files. And so he's great at creating these distractions. And that's what he did. He created a giant distraction. He also was testing legally. It was a test balloon to see legally whether he could use the U.S. military to go after people he didn't like. And it seems to have mostly failed. I mean, he did win some legal decisions, but I guess I didn't read the decision, but the Supreme Court said he could not right now send the National Guard to Chicago or whatever. So anyway, he has pulled them out of those cities, and he claimed in his social media post that I will send even worse assassins to go get you later, or whatever he said. Even worse forces, even stronger forces to come get you if you get in my way or what have you. But the truth is it's Trump taking a giant L. So giant loss. Speaking of Epstein and the PDF files, I wanted to play this video. I've been covering that a lot, as anyone should who cares about the corruption and heinous crimes of our government and of our ruling elite. But here is a 1-minute video, or 1:30, that I'm going to play of Maria Farmer. And she is probably the most famous whistleblower, second to Virginia Giuffre. More on Virginia Giuffre in a second. But so that means Maria Farmer is probably the most famous Epstein whistleblower that's still alive. And she has been, as we see from the revealed Epstein files, that Maria Farmer has been trying to raise the alert on Epstein since 1996. Way before anybody was talking about Epstein, she brought the case to the FBI, and they, of course, ignored it because why would they ever go after the ruling elite? Like, what? No, that's not their job. Anyway, she brings up an important point in this video she has just posted just the other day. So I will play that and then discuss. But hold on.
Hi, my name is Maria Farmer, and I am a whistleblower. In 1996, I reported Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, Donald Trump, Bill Clinton, Alan Dershowitz, and did I mention Leslie Wexner? Yeah, so the Wexners kidnapped me, and they held me on their property, which was 330 acres, okay? And then in the Washington Post, they claimed that I was on Epstein's property, but there was no access to get to this guest house that Leslie Wexner designed based on the Rotunda, which is the Capitol building in Ohio. And this was very much Wexner's property. It was just a few feet away, a couple hundred yards away from the main house. And I was watched for whatever reason by 3 guards the whole summer. I believe I know those reasons, but I won't get into them here right now. But I believe it was a grander scheme to traumatize me and take my little sister, which was just unacceptable. I mean, first of all, my sister wasn't offered up to these people. It's disgusting. She was in high school and I was in graduate school when this occurred. And so it's really important that people understand this could happen to anyone's children. So please do your part and help us spread the word. We're getting ready to make a big deal with the feds, and we're going to need all the support we can get. So if you can share this video, let people know about George Tonks. If you can look him up, let people know about Leslie Wexner, and try to hold these people accountable, especially the federal government, because they're supposed to be here to protect us and not protect just the elites, right? So let's stand up for what's right.
So, there we go from Maria Farmer. And thank you so much, Citizen Pendejo, for supporting the show. Really appreciate it. Much love and solidarity. And thanks for the kind words. So Maria Farmer said a name there, which those of you who've been following the Epstein thing, the Epstein horror show, know the name, but many people do not, because his name has been left out of a lot of the mainstream reporting, a lot of the Washington Post, a lot of the New York Times, even when they cover Epstein, which there's been a lot of articles about Epstein. I mean, New York Times just did a big in-depth thing on where Epstein's money came from. I mean, only 20 years too late, but still. But they... And I didn't read the whole thing, so I'm assuming some of it has Les Wexner in it. But the name that should be on the top of everybody's tongue now is Les Wexner. And here's another reason. Well, there's several reasons. Let me just get into several of these reasons. One is Les Wexner. If you knew nothing about Epstein, who you would think he is a billionaire who created Victoria's Secret and other brands like that. He's behind, and you know, what are the odds? The guy behind Victoria's Secret is a perv. What? How could that be? No, I dare say not. I dare say not, good sir. So, yeah, so that's how you would know what he is, or who he is. But he was both the financing behind Epstein, and now when he's asked about it, he claims he was my financial advisor, and I don't know, he just completely bamboozled me. He stole my money, and I never should have let him. Just like this, oh my, what? How did he take advantage of me? Kind of thing, kind of routine. But he has a lot of other connections to Epstein. He was kind of a mentor to Epstein. He and Epstein, as Maria Farmer alludes to there, had residences in Ohio. There are some journalists in Ohio that have been talking about this since the early 2000s, maybe even the 90s, because I think Les Wexner had like a private jet like airport put in, like a private jet landing path, and there were people who were really pissed about it. And so some of them have been talking about it in Ohio since a while ago. Anyway, so Les Wexner is like an Ohio, there aren't that many Ohio billionaires. So people know who he is in Ohio for a long time. They didn't necessarily know he was connected to this Epstein shit, but a lot of connections there. And in the files that have been released, the FBI talks about 10 co-conspirators in some of these documents. And all the names of the co-conspirators are blacked out except for Jean, I want to say Jean Benet, Jean, what is it? Jean-Paul Brunel? Yeah, Jean something Brunel. God damn it. Jean-Luc Brunel. All right, sorry. Should have gone with Star Trek, Jean-Luc Picard. Then I would have remembered. Jean-Luc Brunel, who also suicided in prison in France. But all the co-conspirators are blacked out except for Jean-Luc Brunel, Ghislaine Maxwell, and Les Wexner. And the FBI has not gone in to look into Les Wexner, apparently, even though he was on their list of co-conspirators. Now, I don't know if leaving his name unblacked out was an accident, because we know there's been a lot of redaction accidents here where they're not blacking out things, or they think they're blacking them out and they're not. Anyway, so Maria Farmer here is saying that she was kidnapped by Les Wexner. She was held on his property for, what'd she say, all summer, with armed guards. They also were going after her sister, who was, I think she's saying she was of age at that time. That doesn't mean you're allowed to kidnap people who are of age. Still a crime. But her sister, meanwhile, was underage, was like 14, 13. And that was really what Epstein and his goons wanted, was these underage girls. In fact, one of the documents shows that they checked an ID of a girl to make sure she was under 18. Not the reason people normally check IDs. But okay, so that's coming from Maria Farmer. So do not forget the name Les Wexner. I feel like we'll be hearing more about him as these documents continue to come out, if they continue to come out. But since I mentioned Virginia Giuffre as well, and most of you now know that she is was the most outspoken whistleblower. She was suicided less than a year ago. The mainstream media continues to claim she died of suicide, even though she said she would never commit suicide. And she was hit by a bus 2 months earlier and survived. So, and fought through all that. When you're hit by a bus and you survive, if you were suicidal, that'd be a good time to check out, because you're like, this is miserable. I can't walk. I can't move. I'm in tons of pain. Yeah, let me fight back to survive all of that and then take my life. It doesn't make any sense on any regard. But I have before mentioned her tweet saying that she would not unalive herself. I should probably stop saying suicide, because the algorithm will not show this to anybody. But, I'm so suppressed anyway, it doesn't matter. So that's kind of fun. But let's see. What is this Substack again called? George's News. Oh, George Hazim posted this. So Giuffre, in her book, he says so her memoir came out after her death. She was already working on it. It was already in the publishing process when she was suicided. So her memoir has come out. I have not read it, even though I know that it is filled with all of these, accusations that I'm going to just say have a lot of truth to them. In page 295 of that book, of Nobody's Girl, she outlines a recorded exchange with her therapist and general practitioner that makes her position unmistakably clear, her position on suicide and whether she would commit suicide. Giuffre states without ambiguity she would never unalive herself. This isn't inference or interpretation. It's a conscious declaration made in a therapeutic setting long before her death and preserved in print. Quote, I am making it publicly known that in no way, shape, or form am I suicidal. This is her writing about what she had said earlier when she tweeted it out. So this is, again, her speaking. She says, I typed hastily but resolutely, making several spelling and grammatical errors. I said in that tweet, quote, I've made this known to my therapist and GP. If something happens to me, for the sake of my family, do not let this go away and help me to protect them. Too many evil people want to see me quieted. So She could not have made it more clear that she would not unalive herself. And yet you have all the mainstream media, you have all of of course, the FBI, the police in Australia, the police, if any of them are involved in the United States, et cetera, all saying, "Yep, suicide, absolutely, suicide, totally, yep." So that's what you would get if you read her memoir, is yet more protestations saying, I would never do that. All right, I want to move on to Israel. Not move to Israel, I'll tell you that much. I do not want to do that. But Israel has just put out a long list of aid groups that they are banning from Gaza, just furthering their genocidal actions. I think most of you know that despite the ceasefire, it is still a genocide. Israel's just doing it in slow motion again, as opposed to bombs raining down. Israel says it's suspending humanitarian organizations that have failed to meet its new rules to vet international groups working in the Gaza Strip. They include some of the world's most prominent and outspoken aid organizations, including Doctors Without Borders. Doctors Without Borders, by the way, is one of the best aid organizations. They have truly done amazing work around the world. You want to know how important Doctors Without Borders is? They were bombed by the United States not once, but twice. The U.S. has bombed Doctors Without Borders multiple times, one of them during Obama. And my old stand-up bit was about it at the time was, I think that's the first time that a Nobel Peace Prize winner has bombed another Nobel Peace Prize winner. The suspension begins January 1st. International organizations have said Israel's rules are arbitrary and could endanger staff. Israel has accused militant groups of operating under the cover of international organizations, something the groups deny. And something that, how much should you really believe Israel about anything? Anything. Human shields. Like, why should you ever listen to Israel on any of the things? They have lied every day in every way for over 2 years. Yeah, right. All the aid organizations are actually Hamas militants. Exactly. That's totally true. I believe that. Here's the list of aid organizations that they have banned. And by the way, I would assume that if Israel has banned an aid organization, it probably means that's an excellent aid organization. Like this, if I were to create a list of awesome aid organizations, it's probably this list that Israel has banned, because it means they're on the other side of genocide. Number 1, Action Against Hunger, Action Aid, Alianza por la Solidaridad, Campaign for the Children of Palestine, CARE, Dan Church Aid, Danish Refugee Council, Handicap International, Humanity and Inclusion, Japan International Volunteer Center, Medicines du Monde, or however you pronounce Du Monde, France, which means Doctors Without Borders, I believe. Doctors Without Borders, Switzerland, Doctors Without Borders. Oh, yeah. So sometimes it's Frontier. Why, if someone can tell me, why is it sometimes Du Monde and sometimes Frontier? Different languages? I don't know. Doctors Without Borders, Belgium. Doctors Without Borders, France. Doctors Without Borders, Netherlands. Médicos del Mundo. Mercy Corps. MSF. That's also Doctors Without Borders, Spain. Norwegian Refugee Council. Oxfam. Premier Urgence Internationale. Touré de Homme Luzon. Okay, I can't. I need to quit. International Rescue Committee, We World GVC, World Vision International, Relief International. I don't need to read all this, but you get the point. Palestine Solidarity Association, Defense for Children International, Medical Aid for Palestinians UK, Oxfam Quebec, World Child Holland. Yeah, you read that list, and I'm sure you're thinking like, oh, yeah, sounds like it's all Hamas. Sounds like it absolutely all Hamas. Oxfam, totally all Hamas. God, couldn't tell you. Thank you, Citizen Pendeo, again for supporting the show. Really appreciate it. I don't know what that means. Is that someone has been chatting? Would you allot 3 minutes to crush the following? Oh, are you then listing the following? I'm not sure. Okay. So, also, while we're on the topic of Israel, I don't want to run out of time here. Some other notes of what Israel's been up to. And this is again coming from Haaretz, which is a pro-Israel newspaper, but they are a little better at revealing the truth about Israel, even as they are pro-Israel. Israel's Yedioth Abranoth newspaper reported that just a month before Hamas's October 7th attack, Israel asked Qatar to increase the amount of money it transferred to Hamas. Many of you know that Israel, and especially Netanyahu, were transferring sums of money to Hamas via Qatar prior to October 7th. This is because even outside, let's ignore October 7th for just a second. Even outside of October 7th, Netanyahu long knew that the best thing to divide and conquer Gaza and the West Bank was to have a militant group that was not one that viewed the answer to having sovereignty as more militancy, and he knew that would allow Israel. And you know, you can't really fault for people within a concentration camp for having different tactics, like for trying to get out of their concentration camp. But the point is, he knew that the best way to obliterate Gaza was to have a militant group in power. So he and portions of Israel's ruling elite, had funneled money to Hamas for a long time. Now, they also, of course, had many spies within Hamas as well. This is Israel we're talking about, the most powerful surveillance country on earth, probably. So they knew what Hamas was doing, and they were helping fund it to some degree. Then you take that understanding and you look at October 7th, and interesting. Israel knew, this according to New York Times, which is a pro-Israel magazine as well, Israel knew about October 7th to the letter, knew everything that was going to be done on October 7th a year ahead of time. A year. How did they know that? Oh, that's right. They're funding and have operatives within Hamas. So that being said, we now have new information that Israel asked for more money to be sent to Hamas immediately previous to October 7th. This is as they absolutely, even if you wanted to give them the craziest benefit of the doubt, they absolutely knew something was going to happen. Now, we know they knew exactly what was going to happen, but they absolutely knew something was about to happen. And they're like, you know what? Let's funnel more money to Hamas. Oh, interesting. Do you think they maybe wanted a reason to commit a genocide? No. What? Oh, do not say that truth. That's one truth that must be banned. Also in Gaza news, actor Angelina Jolie visited the Egyptian side of the Rafah crossing with Gaza, speaking with Red Crescent workers and truck drivers, delivering humanitarian aid. Journalists have reported, according to local media, Jolie said she came to assess the condition of Palestinians transferred to Egypt for treatment and to examine the flow of aid into Gaza. And I know she's been wrong on some international issues, but clearly she is at least somewhat on the right side on the correct side of this. And you know, you can also do the thing where you're like, fuck celebrities for, you know, putting themselves at the center. The truth is the world media follows. So play the game. If it's just about ending genocide, I parachute every celebrity who's willing to into Gaza. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, whatever it takes. I don't care if you got to attach a parachute to Taylor Swift and push her out of an aircraft just so newspapers will talk about Gaza. Do it, man. I'm all for it. I think it's kind of like the people that are like, screw Greta for being on the flotilla. Dude, she was tortured and sexually assaulted by the IDF for trying to raise attention for Gaza. Have you had that? Did you do that? Were you in an IDF prison being tortured? Oh, no, you haven't. Okay. Maybe you should shut the hell up. Another quick news story having to do with Israel. On his first day in office, New York City Mayor Zoran Mamdani on Thursday overturned all executive orders from his predecessor, Eric Adams, signed, including, and by the way, Haaretz is probably mentioning this news story as a negative. This is a positive, including the ban on protesting in front of synagogues. You should be able to protest in front of synagogues if you're not doing anything violent. The ban on protesting in front of synagogues, and as long as you're also clear on the difference between Zionism and Judaism, all Jews are not Zionists. All Zionists are not Jews. There are millions of Christian Zionists across America. There are more Christian Zionists across America than there are Jews in the world. If you know all of those things, then protest away because you understand reality. These executive actions also withdrew a ban on city employees cooperating with BDS. The BDS movement, one of the most powerful tools that average people can use against Israel to protest their genocide, he withdrew the ban on that. Great. And I meant that literally. I know, because I say so much sarcastically, it's not always clear. Great. That's just great. No, but I meant great, literally. And the adoption of also the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance definition of anti-Semitism. People often call that IRA or IRA. Now, here's why that definition of anti-Semitism is so dangerous, is because it conflates, as we just said you should not do, conflates Zionism and Judaism in order to say any anti-Zionist speech, anything against Israel and against Israel's genocide, is anti-Semitism. It is not. And that's coming from a Jew, if it makes you feel any better. These are all these things that he revoked, all excellent. Good for him. And as I said with Mamdani, let's wait and see. Is it just another Democrat, or is it actually real change? And we're gonna see. And this action, I think, good, absolutely good. Okay, so one last quick thing on. Two last quick things on Israel. The thing is, when you're committing genocide, it's like there's a lot of things to cover every day. It's just how it works. There's this great chart put up on Ryan Rosbiani's Twitter feed. It just goes through everything that Israel's done over the past 2 years. In a nice little, it's got nice little charts, little pictures. Because adults are not children, right? We'll read things. We don't need pictures to see them. No, we absolutely do. I'll read some of this. 12% of the Gaza population has been either killed, injured, missing, or detained. And that's using the lowest estimate of those killed, which is 76,000 killed. That is the absolute lowest. Many people believe it's hundreds of thousands. And I've covered those stories as the time has gone past. But 9 out of every 10 people killed in Gaza is a civilian, is 100% a civilian. 9 out of every 10, 90% civilian deaths. Of the population, 99% of the population was forcibly displaced at least once. 99% of the population forcibly kicked out of their homes or had their homes destroyed or blown up or whatever else. How would you react if you were forcibly kicked out of your home or had it blown up and your family members killed? Would you be cool? Would you do as the New York Times wants you to do and just move on? If you want to read a column when you're done watching this or listening to this, I hope you'll check out my latest Substack on the New York Times article saying that everyone in the Middle East should just move on and be friends. Stop getting so upset about all your family members being killed. Move on. There's 45,000 orphans in Gaza. 30% of the casualties have been children. 20% of the casualties have been women. As I said, 76,000 killed. That's a really huge undercount. 174,000 injured. That's probably a huge undercount too. Buildings destroyed or damaged. 100% of hospitals have been destroyed or damaged. 80% of buildings have been destroyed or damaged. 95% of schools and universities destroyed or damaged. I'm going to skip down to the starvation. 482 people died of starvation. 300% increase in miscarriages. 100% of the population face high levels of acute food insecurity. 100%. Now that is perhaps the most important number at this point, because that is the goal of Israel, is to take the 42% of Gaza where the survivors live, 58% already stolen by Israel and the United States. Take that 42% and make it unlivable so that Gazans all leave. The survivors all leave. How do you make it unlivable? Well, one is to not allow them to have working structures, which, as I read there, 90-some% of buildings have been destroyed or harmed or in some way. So don't give them the working structures, but also make it almost impossible for them to survive via starvation. It's a lot better for the propaganda for Israel not to be putting bullets in people's heads. Not that they mind doing that, but the propaganda does much better if you just starve them to death. And that's what Israel's going for. So there's some updates on what it looks like in Gaza. As I covered on previous shows, Israel has a plan. They're going to open the Rafah crossing. They want to make it so that people can't come back in, meaning it would be an exit only. And that way they would be able to continue the ethnic cleansing, basically forcing everyone out. And that's also why they just declared Somaliland a country. Israel's the first country in the world to declare Somaliland a country. And they did it because they want to ship Gazans who have survived to Somaliland. All right, last note on Israel. Of the journalists killed last year, 2025, Israel killed over half of them. Most journalists killed around the world, killed by Israel. And it's a little confusing because if you look at the numbers, you see that 42% of all journalists killed around the world were killed in Gaza, 44%. And you go, well, that's not over half. That I understands the maths, and 44% is not over half. And that's because they're including journalists killed by Israel in other countries. Israel has killed many in Yemen and some in Lebanon and other places. So that is why it's like 58% of journalists killed around the world have been killed by Israel. Palestinian journalists, from the article, Palestine Chronicle, Palestinian journalists have paid the highest price as a result of Israel's genocidal war on Gaza, with 56 journalists killed in 2025. According to its annual killed list from the International Federation of Journalists, 128 journalists killed, more than half. A total of 74 journalists were killed in the Middle East or the Arab world, accounting for 58% of those killed, and those were killed by Israel. The most emblematic was the August 10th targeted attack on Anas al-Sharif, an Al Jazeera reporter. He was killed along with 5 other journalists and media workers in a tent housing journalists on the outskirts of Al-Shifa Hospital in Gaza City. In Yemen, it added, journalists have also paid the ultimate price for this conflict, with one attack by the Israeli army on September 26th. On the offices of the September 26th newspaper, that's the name of the newspaper, killing 13 journalists and media workers. This is considered one of the worst ever attacks on media ever. These deaths are, and honestly, like, I imagine some people quibble with it, but that might be the most journalists ever killed in one strike. And as mentioned many times, Israel has killed more journalists in Gaza over the past 2 years and a couple months than have been killed in any other conflict ever. World War II, Vietnam, the Iraq War. Israel has killed more journalists in Gaza because Israel is actively targeting journalists. That it has essentially never happened with the exception of like single assassinations. Journalists have definitely been assassinated, some in the United States, many in Latin America. Many of them were environmental journalists that have been assassinated in Latin America. However, those are single people, as opposed to Israel is assassinating every journalist they can find in Gaza. Okay. I want to move on to some more stories. Some more of the stories. But let's see here. Let's take 1 second before we get to Trump's scheme to continue to enrich himself at a rate that he has never done before. I mean, he's getting richer from this scheme or these schemes than his wealth has increased in any other schemes he has committed. I want to show a clip of my stand-up comedy as a breather, as a palate cleanser. This was the live show in New York City I did just a few weeks ago. And these are 1-minute clips. I've been putting them up. They've been on my YouTube. They're on my Instagram, which is Real Lee Camp. They're on my Substack, which is Real Lee Camp. So I hope you'll check out Instagram or check out YouTube. You have to click the shorts tab when you get to youtube.com/moment of clarity. That'll show you what kind of shorts I wear in the summertime. No, that what we call, folks, is a pun. And this stand-up comedy will not feature any of that. That kind of garbage will not be in the clips I'm going to show you. So I'm going to show you, I might just do one clip, but there's already 2 clips up there. I'm putting up more and more, and I hope you'll check them out. If you like them, I hope you'll share them. That's all it is. Free to watch. All right. Here's a clip from my stand-up comedy, New York City, the other day.
What to talk about tonight? I'll tell you this. Not fucking Donald Trump. I'm not going to do it. I don't want to do it. Yes, fascist piece of fucking human garbage. Absolute. But he just melts. All right, 30 seconds right now. He just melts everybody's ability to think about fucking anything else. He is vomited out of a fucked up empire, acting like he is all that's wrong with our society. It's like someone thinking they're like saying, my whole life is going to be perfect if I just get this splinter out of my dick. And then a friend being like, well, okay, but I think, don't you think a bigger problem is you've been dry humping an unfinished oak cabinet for a year that you nicknamed Tina? Like, take the splinter out by all means, but unless you stop fucking the cabinet, it's going to be a chronic condition.
All right. So a quick taste of the stand-up. And if you haven't caught those clips, go over to youtube.com/moment of clarity. Probably would find it if you just type in Lee Camp Comedy. I don't know what shows up in YouTube. You do that. But and look at my Instagram. I also started another TikTok. They banned me once. But I'm not sure that I actually know what my name what my name is on TikTok, because they ban you and then you got to find a new name and all that shit. So let's see. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Real Lee Camp. Okay, it is Real Lee Camp. My TikTok name is Real Lee Camp. I think I have 10 followers there. I believe this is my 3rd TikTok. Oh, God, I love being banned around the world. It's the best. Okay, let's get this last story. So, the initial article came from, or some of the initial article came from New York Times revealing Trump's crypto schemes, but this analyzation comes from DD Geopolitics on X, on Twitter. So I'll read a little bit of it. The New York Times published a map of Donald Trump's second-term business universe, including crypto ventures, foreign governments, real estate deals, defense, and AI interests, all orbiting the presidency. Unlike his first term, Trump re-entered the White House without ever agreeing to halt new international business deals. Yeah, you notice that? Like, first time around, he was like, yeah, I'm not going to do the corrupt thing. This time around, he was like, I'm not saying I'm not going to do the corrupt thing. I'm just not, we're not really going to talk about it. Since then, since his new term started, his family and closest allies have accelerated projects that monetize the Trump name while intersecting directly with U.S. policy decisions. And we'll get into some of this in just a second. But I think you should note that for those people who consider themselves somehow progressive or leftist or left wing or pro humanity, and yet for some odd reason, they never seem to notice Donald Trump's corruption. They only notice Nancy Pelosi's corruption or, Adam Schiff's corruption or all these Dems that are Bill Clinton's horrible corruption. You should ask them why they seem to fail to see Trump's breathtaking corruption. Because it's all of them. They're all the ruling elite. They're all corrupt. Most of the top ones are sociopaths. And so you should be talking about all of them. Don't just ignore Donald Trump. Anyway, so they focus on one little part of this kind of spider web of corruption in this analysis. Just weeks before his second inauguration, Trump and his partners launched a meme coin, Strump, or however they pronounce it. It's a $ followed by Trump, reversing years of public skepticism toward crypto. Now, I should lead with the fact that I'm not anti-crypto. I think Bitcoin could be very important in certain regards. That doesn't mean crypto can't be used for scams. You know what else is used for a lot of scams? Dollars, dollar bills, all the time. Number one source of scam, like number one scam currency. So the idea that something is used for scams or some people can attach scams to, does not mean that the currency should be deleted. Now, for some of these fake crypto coins like Strump, they should probably be deleted. But anyway, this is not me saying Bitcoin is all just a scam. This is me saying Trump and his goons are using crypto for their scam. Trump personally promoted the Strump coin, driving retail investors into the market. As investors bought Strump, trading fees were routed. If it's not pronounced Trump, I'm pronouncing it Strump. Okay, that's just happening. Were routed through a series of Trump-linked entities, including Fight. Oh my God, I'm gonna vomit while I read this garbage. And CIC Digital. Fight is a group. It's an organization. It's like a business. Before ultimately benefiting a trust tied to Trump himself. Every transaction generated revenue upstream, regardless of whether investors won or lost. It's a Ponzi scheme. It's you get in, I get out my money. Then if it collapses, you lose and I don't. But Wall Street's a Ponzi scheme too. While rolling back crypto enforcement, easing SEC pressure, and publicly championing the industry from the Oval Office, Trump was also positioned to profit directly from the crypto activity tied to his name. And then there was the rug pulls. Just before return, I did that part. The SEC, let's see. One of the largest buyers was Justin Sun, the founder of the Tron blockchain, who reportedly spent over $40 million acquiring Strump. At the same time, Sun and Tron were facing regulatory scrutiny from the SEC. Oh, you don't think he was buying favor from the SEC, do you? Under Trump, the SEC has since eased crypto enforcement and frozen or slowed several high-profile cases, including actions affecting firms tied to major Trump-aligned investors. Okay, so do you understand what's going on here? Besides Trump just making a lot of money from his Trump stupidity, it also, did someone say I'm sloshed? I haven't had a drink today. If this is me drunk, then what the... Sorry, buddy, you must be new to the show. This is how I sound all the time. This is pure, uncut, unadulterated, sober Lee Camp. You don't want to see the sloshed Lee Camp. No, it's just because I like going fast, and I'm going to go fast, and I'm going to say things sometimes like championing instead of championing. Okay, it's just how it works. So, but do you see what's going on here? Is not only is Trump making money from Strump, it also means that the international people who want to curry favor to Trump, they have an easy way. They don't have to dump money in his bank account, which looks highly illegal, right? You can't just pay Trump $40 million. What you can do is buy Strump. And then that not only does Trump get all the fees from that, but it also makes Trump look better, which raises its price, which raises Trump's the amount of money he's making from Trump. So this is basically what he used to do with IRL brick and mortar locations. You remember that people who were currying favor to Trump in his first term would stay at his hotel in Washington, D.C. They would use his golf courses. They would do things that would put money in the pocket of Donald Trump. Like the hotel in Washington, D.C., which is like right near the White House. I think he sold it finally because it was a big money loser. But Saudi Arabia was like buying, the most expensive rooms often because they're trying to curry favor by dumping money into his properties. Now, some of that still goes on, but the easiest way to curry favor with Trump is to buy $40 million of Trump. So there's also more of this crypto garbage. Donald Trump and his special envoy, Steve Witkoff, co-founded World Liberty Financial, a crypto venture launched with their sons and close partners. The firm issues its own token, the $WLFI, and routes proceeds through a web of Trump and Witkoff linked entities. Trump actively promotes the token while holding a financial stake through trusts and affiliated companies. His sons, Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr., are listed beneficiaries of Trump-linked entities that receive cuts of crypto proceeds. Witkoff's family entities also receive revenue shares. What makes this arrangement notable is the timing. Trump has rolled back Biden-era crypto enforcement, publicly championed digital assets, and signaled regulatory leniency while he's raking in these monies. It's a closed loop, they say. Promotion to investment to fees to family-linked entities while the president reshapes the regulatory environment governing this same industry. So it's standard corruption, but just done with crypto as opposed to buying real estate from someone who's affiliated with Trump. And again, I think that people who are anti-Bitcoin want to say this proves crypto is corrupt. No, this proves that certain aspects of cryptocurrency can be used for corruption, can be used for scams, can be used for frauds, but so can dollars, so can real estate, so can hedge funds. Like, the idea that means there should be no cryptocurrency is a garbage analysis. Instead, what you should get out of this is Trump's fucking corrupt. That's what you should get out of it. Now, I will also say this. He is more corrupt than some previous presidents, but it doesn't mean that they weren't corrupt at all. They all enriched themselves. Most of them did it after they got out of office. Obama, within weeks, I think it was 1 week or 2 weeks, the moment he leaves office, the moment 8 years in office is over, he goes running to Wall Street and gives a single speech to Goldman Sachs, and they pay him $400,000. Hillary Clinton did this type of shit too. They go and give one speech to pretend like the Goldman Sachs bought something, right? To pretend Citibank bought something. In truth, it didn't matter what Obama said. What he said didn't matter to them. In truth, it was about, we are paying you off after the fact for what you did for us while you were in office. And he knew this would happen, and they knew this was happening. They didn't even have to say it, I bet you. They didn't even have to talk about it. They didn't even need a mumbling over a cigar about, hey, we'll give you a $400 speech. You didn't even need that. They know the moment you're out of office, you go, you run, you give these speeches, you're put on boards, all kinds of things, and you enrich yourself with the presidency. Sometimes you just sell a book. But Trump's doing it while in office, but he's also doing it by scamming others out of their money. That's kind of the big one of the big differences. Obama, in my view, that's corruption. You run and give a speech to Goldman Sachs, $500,000, still corruption, because you did them favors while you were in office. You knew you'd get rich afterwards. Still corruption, in my view. But legally, it's probably not something you prosecute him for. one of the big differences with this cryptocurrency scheme of Trump's is other people get built. Other people, average people now, they're dumb enough to put their money in Trump's meme coin. So I guess you could say, oh, well, you brought that upon yourself. But yeah, people lose their life savings. Javier Milei in Argentina just stole the life savings of countless people with his meme coin in Argentina. So this shit, yeah. These are con artists. They're sociopaths. They don't care who they fuck over, whose lives are destroyed. Doesn't matter. And it goes from healthcare to cryptocurrency. Wow, callback. Look at that. Callback. Boom. To wrap things up here, folks. All right. New Unredacted Tonight comes out in 1 week on Thursday, 6 days, because you guys kept the show going. Second important note, John Kiriakou should be on the show Monday if the schedule holds. I'll be back Monday either way, but John Kiriakou, the former CIA officer and whistleblower, revealed the CIA's torture program, continues to be a whistleblower, has revealed things about 9/11. Anyway, I'll be talking to him, and it's going to be a really great show. So Monday, 3 p.m. Eastern. I will see you guys then. And go check out my stand-up clips, youtube.com/Moment of Clarity. Click the Shorts tab. Also subscribe while you're there and click the bell icon. And yeah, I'll see you Monday. Keep fighting.
Well, brother, I salute you, though, man. You're one of the few that bring together this tremendous artistic talent and still be in such deep solidarity with oppressed people.
It's an honor to be here because I'll tell you, Lee, you have one of the funniest shows on television, bar none.
It's an enormous pleasure to be here. While I was waiting, I was leafing through your wonderful book.
The same to you. I love your show. Be happy to come back anytime.
Lee, this is one of the great honors of my long career, just to be in the same earth with you.
I'm sure.
We're just so blinded. We have so many blinders on because our society doesn't want us to know things. And so it takes shows like your show, and
it is clearly designed to eradicate.
Hey, good to see you.
Hey, Jill, how are you? Julian, thanks for joining me. Honor to have you, brother.
Consumerism is a theory that people should behave this way to help each other. It's not.
Mr. George Galloway, thank you so much for joining me in these dark times.
Always a pleasure, my friend.
Thank you so much, Lee, for having me on. Keep fighting. Ha.